Hi, this is Asifa05. Here, I would like to present my thesis topic, Sanjeevani, a leisure community for elders. This is basically a retirement community, which is away from the concrete jungles of the city. Sanjeevani has been specially crafted for the retirees to live in an active, healthy life in the lap of nature and to explore the things which they couldn't do during their work life. Basically, this is considered as a second home for senior citizens who believe in living their golden years to the fullest. Talking about the feasibility side of the project and why I have selected retirement communities as my topic. Since there is a hike of geriatric population in India, if we are checking the past 10 years population census, we can see that there is actually a high rise of geriatric population in every year due to many reasons like high life expectancy ratio, the old age dependency ratio, and of course highly sophisticated medical facilities. There are different types of retirement communities. Here, I intended to design a continuous care retirement community, which it actually clubs both independent living, assisted living, as well as 24-hour nursing homes childcare. Study part, I did 4 different case series, 2 different literature case series and 2 different life case. Literature case series being the Suvida Retirement Village, which is situated at Bangalore, which covers an area of 27 acres. The complex is mainly aimed at eco-friendly construction and landscape-oriented design, in which all the individual units are placed according to the site contour levels. The second being the Parks Retirement House, which is again situated at Bangalore, which covers an area of 3 acres with a built-up area of 2.75 lakh square feet. The uniqueness of the project lies in reinterpreting the idea of a single clubhouse instead of housing all the activities in one place. The live case studies include the Blessed Retirement Living, which is situated at Alua, Ernakulam, which covers an area of 3 acres, and Melu Meadows Retirement Village and Senior Citizen Resort, which is situated at Metupalayam, Coimbatore, which again covers an area of 9.5 acres. I use this opportunity of doing live case studies for understanding some of the basic elements, which includes the area requirements of the project, the proper zoning, then for study of interaction spaces of residents, the evolved spaces, all activity study of residents, the connection and the accessibilities, then the residents' attitude towards space, the needs and aspiration of residents, etc. Analysis. My site is at Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh. To be more precise, it is at Gomti Extension area. It is actually a part of township Chagajera CGCT, which covers an area of 13.6 acres. Talking about the Lucknow climate, Lucknow lies in composite climate area, which is having subtropical climate and facing extreme climate throughout the year. Moving into design programming, space analysis, and design concept. Considering the end users being the elder people and the high density of older population is not good for cultivating personal attention and healthy social relationship, since the old persons become more sensitive to be irritated by extremely negative status of the others. And considering these factors, I have designed a retirement community for 120 elder people around Lucknow. And considering the psychological preference of the end users, I have divided the residential spaces into 3, namely cluster villas, individual villas, and apartment block. 4. This is how I applied my biophilic design concept in my project, including visual connection with nature, non-visual connection with nature, connection with natural systems, prospect and refuge, bird-free communities. My end users being the elder people who are less able people, so my design should be always universally accepted design. So let's see how I have approached universal design and how I have included it in my project. I have also planned barrier-free design implications, in which I mainly break down it into 4 environments, including visual environment, hearing and speaking environment, and dementia course people. First, moving into application of special topic, which is emotional architecture for everyday life. It represents such an architectural model that functions as a motivation generator for increasing positive human environment interactions, as well as an effective environment for enriching and regulating human emotional state on a basis of everyday life. Hedonic adaptation is the psychological process by which people become accustomed to a positive or negative stimulus of a circumstance, a single or recurring event. And here, there is a high chance of the elder people become more of hedonic adaptation. The design should be always varied, dynamic, and moving into design of senior friendly spaces. People get emotional attachment to places other than their home, which is referred to as third spaces. Older adults, they are more likely than younger adults to have lived in a singular space for a long period of time and consequently feel more attached. If parks and other open spaces are part of the third spaces for community elders, they can help them developing a positive connection to their surrounding environment and feel part of their community. The healing on the basis of site factors, climate factors, direction, requirements and end users. The basic site zoning is done by dividing the site into three zones: public zone, semi-public zone and private zone. Then all the road networks are carefully designed to connect every single unit to perform both functions as pedestrian walkway and as vehicular pathway in case of emergencies. Then comes about detailed zoning. Then the residential area being the place where the residents spend most of the time. So I have wanted it in such a way that the residents, they are benefited. So the residential area, it is zoned into the northern part of the site so that they get plenty of light, wind and not affected by heavy rains. Then the area after the residential area, the residents, they spend most of the time is at active and recreational centers. So for the zoning of active and recreational areas, I have studied the deep activity study of the residents. According to that, I zone most of the recreational zones into southeast and southwest part of the site. Since recreational centers are usually used by the residents during morning and evening time, which makes these residents to expose sun, which is rich in vitamin D and which is essential for the elders' health. The intergenerational center, including the community hub, it is placed in public zone, which is an important area where intergenerational activities takes place. It is zoned near to the main entry of the site, so that the outsiders can access the hub directly without disturbing the path of residents. The vertical landmark in such project is very important for the perceived security for the less able people. Extensive care is taken while designing passive recreational activity spaces. Instead of giving a large area for passive recreation spaces, what I did is I have foreseen all such evolved spaces and placed accordingly, in which the large open or green spaces are divided into small chunks of green spaces and zoned near to such buildings, which are frequently used by the residents in the notion that the resident uses this space efficiently. Talking about spatial planning, my primary focus was to create more interaction spaces and create more opportunities for residents to interact with each other and to include more ample green spaces so that they spend most of their time in outdoors rather than sitting in indoors. The site abuts with the road on its northeast and northwest side. The main entry is through the northeast entrance. All the residential areas are zoned into northeastern part of the site. These spaces includes a cluster community villas, individual villas, an apartment block, then a nurse station in between each villas for 24-hour surveillance of the residents, then electric vehicle parking areas, then a secondary home which is zoned at the end corner of the site. Secondary home is basically a place for residents' children to stay. All the residential areas are connected by community interaction spaces either on its center or nearby. Actually, hierarchy of spaces takes place here. That is, two cluster villas are connected by a central deck space in which is connected by a green corridor space which is connected to a small neighborhood pocket space. And this small neighborhood pocket space is connected by two green corridors of neighborhood cluster villas. Then it is further connected to a larger community space. All large activities areas in the site, they are highly connected to each other. That a person standing to one end of the activity space is visible to a person standing at the end of space, in which visual surveillance is very important for both real and perceived security outdoors, especially for less able. Moving into genetic landscape design. According to the Köppen climate classification subtype, Lucknow has dry summer subtropical climate referred to as Mediterranean. The climate is one of the keys for the type of vegetation which we see in Lucknow. It falls in the floral zone of main genetic plain of UP. To be more specified, situated in the upper genetic plain, which is known for its most deciduous forests and grasslands. Considering the native ecology of Lucknow, I have gone for a landscape which is a mixture of woodland and grassland. Talking about the service part, for the purpose, on the basis of the water capacity, I have provided an overhead tank on the apartment block as well as a pillar water tank which is situated near to the apartment block. On the basis of number of users as well as the capacity of the tanks, four different size septic tanks are provided in different parts of the site, which all are interlinked and then connected to sewage treatment plant. STPs are then connected to the outer drainage, in which the natural slope of the site is towards the northeast side. If I'm taking a section like this, so this is how I'm planning to take all my cables through into the site. These are the design of prototypes. It's talking about the cluster villa design concept, in which two neighboring villas are clubbed together, creating a common space in between, which helps in creating a chances for interacting among the neighbors. I have provided a common entry point to each villas so that which acts as a common encountering or meeting point between the residents. This is how I have conceptually developed the cluster villas. There are two different types of cluster villas, in which one includes 1 BHK and 2 BHK villas, and another cluster community includes studio plus and studio villas, in which all clusters do have an interaction deck at its center, which connects both the cluster villas together and acts as an interaction space for the residents, in which this deck is accessed from the living areas of both the villas. The villas are designed keeping in mind the requirement of outdoor-indoor spaces, that is, semi-public and private lawn spaces. Buildings themselves are shaped, creating courtyards and outdoor spaces to various scales and sizes for a range of intimate to communicate activities. Recreational and residential prototype. The clubhouse includes all the recreational activities which are sorted out according to the needs of elders. The apartment blocks are designed keeping in mind the requirement of outdoor spaces and indoor spaces, that is, semi-public and private lawn spaces between buildings, as carefully designed as the buildings themselves are shaped, creating courtyards and outdoor spaces to various scales and sizes for a range of intimate to grand community activities. A large sun-filled atrium at the center acts as the core of the building and as an interaction community space for the residents. Moving into intergenerational and recreational prototype. The community hub being the place where more intergenerational activities happen, so the design is in such a way that the space allows more visual accessibility between people using the space, moreover an open plan without any barriers in between. For more visual accessibilities, two nodes are created where two courtyards are placed as community interaction space. Arch being an important element of the architecture of the city of Lucknow, so it is introduced as a skin to the inner face of the buildings. It is given a makeover in a contemporary style even while continuous access is allowed beneath it. The double height nature lets one experience the grand feeling of arches like in the traditional structures of Lucknow. A wellness hub is a recreational center which clubs three different characteristic space by a connection pathway or corridor, so that residents use all the three spaces efficiently since all spaces are interconnected. Moving into again recreational prototypes. Indoor recreation zone houses all the indoor sports and recreational activities. Common recreation center is provided for all people staying at the independent as well as assisted living, so that people they can have their activities done and enjoy in comfort their day-to-day activities. Center for Creative Living houses Spiritual Activity Center, which helps in improving the residents' mental health. The site is a grouping of a mini neighborhood organized around a central prominent herbal garden that serves as the main focal point, where the spaces overlooks into herbal garden. The building has been designed to enhance the living and walking areas. People feel integral to a community when they are provided an opportunity to be a part of nature. Finally, the residential prototypes. Secondary homes, these are the space for the residents' kids to live when they come to meet their parents. These spaces are zoned in residential area at the northern corner of the site, which is easily accessible for all the residents. And the residents and kids parks it is also provided in the site. A staff quarters is also provided for the resting purpose of the staffs, which is located at the corner of the site. Through this project, I have tried incorporating all architectural innovations which are correlated to approach the elder psychological well-being by increasing post-emotional stimulants while reducing the negative impacts of the physical or mental disabilities in their everyday life. So that's how I carried out the project throughout. Thank you.